goals we had for the fall was to prepare the manuscript for a book on mantra initiation. And it looks like we're going to have it ready. The idea was to have it ready by the end of September. And I've been working on it again today. And in that, what will become that book, we're bringing together in somewhat the same way as we did in the book on sannyas, when we brought together everything Swami Radha said about sannyas becoming a sannyasana Swami. And in this one, we're bringing all the things that she said about mantra initiation, not mantra itself. There's a whole book on that already, but the very particular parts of mantra initiation, what that is. And we're also bringing together what Swami Radhananda has said. She's been initiating people into mantra, into brahmacharya and sannyas now for some time. And she's spoken quite a bit about it, and we'll bring that into the book as well. How the two parts are going to come together, I can't quite say yet, but they will. The one thing that is really obvious right at the very beginning, looking at all this material, is that, actually it's the first thing that Swami Radha said so far. The first paragraph in the book is, there's a great deal of misunderstanding about what mantra initiation is. And part of the misunderstanding is evident in the way the material develops itself. Most of the material, when I say most, it would be something like 95% of the material is something that you already know. If you've been reading her books, if you've been working with the Kundalini system, there's nothing new in that sense. And I think that's one of the things she refers to when she starts, that there's a lot of misunderstanding about what an initiation really is. As if we can somehow jump over ourselves, land at a magic spot, or somebody's going to do something that would instantly change us as if we were hit by a lightning bolt or something. And it's not that way at all. And one of the things, I'll just tell you a few things that I've been thinking about, because in this material they're put in a very interesting kind of way. And one of the things that Swami Radha talks about, and then Swami Radhananda develops even further, is this idea of asking for an initiation. Can I ask for an initiation? Of course, the answer is yes. But what is it that we're really asking? And when we ask for something, does it also bring to mind, or how do we clarify what we're going to give for what we're receiving? So if somebody comes here to take the YDC and say, yes, I want to take the YDC, I'd like to take that. And we say, well then, this is the fee, and this is the kind of structure that you have to agree to, that we'd like you to agree to benefit from this course. And you start at 7 o'clock in the morning and you end after satsang at night. And that's what you're going to be doing for 3 months. And then people agree to that, and they enter into something like that. But what's become apparent, unfortunately, is that many people don't clarify what it is they're going to be giving. And this goes back to misconceptions, because the ideas that you're going to have, that most people have in their mind, at least initially, is I have to give up everything that I like. I have to turn myself into some kind of austere, monkish or nunnish kind of person. And that's not it at all. And just that fundamental misunderstanding is the first obstacle that has to be stepped over. So what is it that we give? And what both Swami Radha and Swami Radhananda make clear is that this is why a person who would like to take an initiation must spend time with the prospective teacher or guru. Let's call it teacher. Because the things that must be given up are the things that will create a great deal of havoc for the individual if they're not given up before the initiation. And actually the kind of things that I think everybody would want to give up. So what are those? Those things are written right here. Free us from egoism, lust, greed, hatred, and jealousy. So who wants to carry all that stuff around? Nobody. And yet, when it comes to the practical, everyday application of that, most of the times we will resist it. We want to have our way. And then the teacher, prospective teacher, wants to know if we can follow instructions. And the word that is commonly used for that is one that we don't like very often. It's called obedience. But obedience to what? It's a teaching to prepare each one of us to be obedient to the highest parts of ourselves. And unfortunately, like anything, when you learn it, you must first learn it to see what it is yourself. And it often has to be pointed out by somebody else. And that's the part we object to, normally. There's a very wonderful little story in there of how Swami Sivananda, Swami Radha's guru, described the initiation. He said, it is like one lamp lighting another. And so that this is passed down from teacher to student to teacher to student all the way down. And this is the lineage that we're part of here. And if we just keep that metaphor going, then you begin to see how important it is that the lamp that's being lit has the right kind of fuel and that the wick is well prepared. If the lamp doesn't have refined oil in it like this oil lamp here, and instead it's some highly inflammable type of gasoline or something, then you've got a problem in your hand when one lamp tries to light the next. So this is a kind of way of extending that, and why it's so important to have that experience of what Swami Sivananda was talking about yesterday, of how to refine your emotional reactions into true feelings. And then you have something that can burn purely, burn steady, and you can depend on yourself. And in fact, as Swami Radhananda points out in this manuscript, the mala, which is used in an initiation, appears in that heart center. If you remember the Kundalini, the chakra plate for the fourth chakra, right in the middle, there is this mala hanging. Well, how did it get there? And how to get it there is this process of preparing ourselves for an initiation, part of which Sivananda talked about last night, this idea of getting away from judgment and criticism, and more to understanding, and this idea of moving these kind of very gross reactions to something much finer. Because malas appear elsewhere in the Kundalini system, and it's interesting to try and track that through as a way to try and understand how it got to that fourth chakra, what's needed. And this is what I meant when I said that most of what's in the manuscript is things that we already know or already are available to us. So each day when we're doing karma yoga, we're being prepared. You're preparing yourself to be more the kind of person you want to be as you meet resistance to other people, to following instructions, to wanting your own way, to whatever it is in our interactions with others or whatever's happening internally with ourselves. So we're trying to work more and more to become the kind of person we want to be. And that's why that phrase is so relevant of Sivananda's, and Swami Sivananda kept repeating it, that selfless service will make you divine. Because that's where you meet yourself and you can change. And that's where we learn what it means to drop all these things. How we free ourselves from egoism, lust, greed, hatred, and jealousy. That's how we learn to fill our hearts with divine virtues. It's not something magic that comes from the teacher to the student. It comes through our own effort. And then when the teacher sees that effort, it's not the perfection, it's the effort. When the teacher sees the effort and knows that it's steady, then you've got the starting place to consider an initiation. It's the person is stable enough or committed enough to make those changes. So we give what we want to give up anyway. There's the old stories of people going to a teacher for the initiation and bringing cups of gold and things like that. And when you read this manuscript, or when you think about it yourself, you'll see that that's only a metaphor for something that you bring. The teacher must know that you will take care of that lamp. That you have the commitment, that you're persistent, you have the stamina. It's a point Radhananda makes really nicely. And how do you demonstrate that you have the stamina? Because you stick with your practice. It goes dry, it doesn't start producing anything. You're not getting anything back for the effort you're putting in, but do you have the stamina to stay with it? And then you can have something more. So each one of us, day by day, is preparing ourselves to be the person we want to be. And then a mantra initiation just adds adds considerable momentum to that. And for most people, it takes them by surprise. They thought they were doing pretty good. I know that myself. And it's unfortunately true that it's not uncommon that after somebody receives a mantra initiation, it's happened frequently that they leave. And this is why it's such a careful process. So one way you could think of this, it's something that came to my mind when I just finished up this afternoon, is that if each one of us really could understand that every day was crafted purposely, exclusively for us to learn. And if the reflection at the end of the day was simply, what did I learn today? Getting past that judgment, past all those things that Sivananda was talking about yesterday. All these things like greed, hatred, jealousy, whatever. If we could get past that judgment and say simply, what did I learn today? What's one thing I learned today? I made a mistake, but what did I learn? That's Swami Radha's constant question. She was not interested in the mistake. She accepted those. What she was interested in is what was learned. So, if you could think of it that way, I want to understand why Divine Mother crafted my day the way she did. It was a great day, it was a lousy day, it doesn't make any difference. What did I learn? And that seems to me to be one of the most important ways to construct a reflective process that would lead then to an initiation, if that's something that you would like. But even if that's not something that is in your mind, that's something you want, the one thing it will definitely lead you to is the kind of person you want to be. There's not much more than that to ask for. Namaste.
Namaste.